Rental property owners and landlords, this one's for you. Do you want to know the number one question that we get in our agency after a claim has happened with one of our clients who owns a rental property or is a landlord? The number one thing that they ask us before we have even submitted the claim to the insurance company, before we have called somebody from a restoration service to help get them back on their feet, the first thing that they'll ask us is, what do I do about my tenants that need a place to stay while the home is being repaired? Well, here's the deal. This one actually requires a little bit of upfront work. And the reality is, at the time of leasing with your tenants, you should be requiring that they have renters insurance or tenants insurance. Here's why. That is actually the policy that is designed to step up and provide coverage for them in the event that they have a claim at your unit. Your policy is designed to protect you and your building, so there's plenty of coverage for repairing your building, in the event of a fire or whatever it might be, getting your building back into the shape it should be, but it is not designed to provide long-term housing for your tenants. That is something that is covered under renters insurance. When you look at renters insurance, it is a critical coverage for your tenants, and here's why. Obviously, there's the basics in there. There's things like their personal property, all of their stuff, so their clothing, their dishes, their furniture, their TVs, their, all that fun stuff that is their property. That is one of the items that's covered under renters insurance. So they usually pick that value. So your policy doesn't provide any coverage for their stuff either. So you need to make sure that they have coverage for their stuff. They also provides coverage for liability. So if they had somebody over to your property and they were negligent in some way, they would have coverage instead of it potentially falling back on you. And then most importantly, in this scenario, it provides loss of use coverage. And that's the coverage that's designed to step up, put your tenant in either a hotel or long-term housing so they can have a place to stay in the event of a fire or a claim has happened at your rental property where they're living and they can no longer live there until the home is rebuilt or repaired or, brought back to a, satisfactory condition. So it requires a little work up front, but it is absolutely critical that you make sure that your tenants have renters insurance. And one of the beautiful things about renters insurance is it's not very expensive. It could be anywhere from $150 to $200 a year, right? So we're talking, anywhere from like $15 a month. And if they bundle that with their auto insurance, they'll get a discount on both policies. And typically the discount on the auto is significant enough that it almost pays for the renters insurance policy. So there is no reason for them not to have renters insurance. But let's talk about the scenario of what happens if they don't have renters insurance. And this one happens often. It's a tough situation to be in. That's because obviously these are tenants that you care about, right? You've probably had them for a long time. You want to make sure you can do the right thing. Unfortunately, from the insurance side, there really isn't a coverage item available to assist with that. So that's going to come down to if, you want to do something to help put them up in housing, that's going to be up to you. There is also, I know like American Red Cross will kind of step in. They'll provide like a night or two, but the reality is for long-term situations, your tenants need to have renters insurance so they can use that loss of use coverage, file a claim with their agency, their insurance company that'll step in and provide the coverage that they need to put them up and give them a place to stay. Don't be one of the examples that you see all the time. These happen all the time. I see them in the local news like WCX and, the Burlington Free Press or 7 Days. They've had these articles where rental units have had fires or whatnot. And there's always a fair amount of people that don't have renters insurance, and the article is usually focused on them and how, they don't really have a place where they can go and stay, which is a tough scenario. Nobody wants to be in that. But at the beginning of most of those articles, there's usually a line item that talks about the tenants that had renters insurance, they're staying in a hotel. Be one of the landlords or rental property owners that is prepared ahead of time and make sure that your tenants have renters insurance.